Big 3 NBA podcast is powered by PrizePicks and the Gametime app.
Hey everyone, welcome into another episode of the Big 3 NBA podcast. Thank you to the Celtics for making this very convenient for us to record this week after that first round win. I'm Kwani Lunes, joined by Sherrod Blakely and Gary Washburn. Let's get right into it. The Celtics close out that first round series with a Game 5 win over the Magic. They advance into the second round, and they'll advance to play either the New York Knicks or the Sherrod's Detroit Pistons. But first off, let's just get your initial reactions to this first round overall.
Well, first of all, before we get to this first round, I just want to give a shout out to my guys, Joe Dumars, my guy Scott Perry, who are back in the NBA in front office position. They from the Detroit Pistons team that won that chip back in 2004. Shout out to the Orlando Magic, who their front office consists of two guys who are also in the front office on that 2004 Pistons team. So, Kwani, y'all open the door. I'm just walking on through.
Are you feeling the Magic? Do you think that Detroit's going to come through with something this year?
I'm just saying. All I know is Detroit's still in the playoffs. That's all I know.
That is the most we have said in years. That's fair.
But here's the thing about this. But here's the thing about this series with the Celtics and the Magic, though. This series it went the way I thought it would. I thought that the actual wins and losses would not really tell the true story of how this series played out. Orlando was physical. Orlando gave, damn, you got Porzingis with about 4 or 5 stitches in the middle of his forehead. You got Tatum with a sprained wrist. Jaylen Brown is coming back health-wise, but he hasn't been himself. Jrue Holiday has missed 2-3 games. So, there was a pretty sizable amount of collateral damage that the Celtics endured in this series that for those who didn't watch it or weren't paying attention to it, they think that the Celtics had a cakewalk because they won it in 5 games. It was anything but that. For the Celtics, the big victory, in addition to moving on, was the fact that the New York Knicks haven't moved on yet, that they still are going to get a little bit extra time, the Celtics that is, to get their bodies right before they have to play the next round of the playoffs, which, again, they're going to need that.
So am I supposed to celebrate the Pistons too? Am I supposed to give a shout out? They're going to
create something to the rafters. We made it to the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah, they made the Game 6. Good for the Pistons. Good for the Pistons to fight back and win that Game 5 when they obviously got screwed in Game 4.
Thank you, Gary. I wanted you to say it, not me. I wanted you to say it.
They got screwed, but they could have won the game before, and Cade had some open shots that he missed, and it probably shouldn't have gotten to that.
We're going to talk about that.
That's how it goes. And I'm surprised the officials got out of Detroit because I know some of Sherrod's peoples was probably waiting for them cats.
I'm crying.
Anyway, we had to put the bat signal up and say, "Let him go, fellas. Let him go."
I know some of Sherrod's peoples was there talking about where they at. But I think it's great for the Celtics to have. They don't play. The earliest they would play now is Monday, so that's obviously being Wednesday. That's 4 or 5 days, full days off. I think they probably get back to practice on Friday to prepare for whoever they play, whether they might not know on Friday. If Sherrod's Pistons come through, then they still won't know. It'll be a Game 7 on Saturday. If not, it will be a Game 1 on Monday against the Knicks or Game 1 on Monday against the Pistons. So I think it's good for them to get some time off. The thing that concerns me at this point is Jrue Holiday. He missed the last 3 games with a hamstring. We have no idea when he did it. The Celtics haven't released any diagnosis in terms of he's going to be out for this amount of time, or he was diagnosed with a grade 2 strain, 1 strain, 7 strain, 3 strain, whatever strain. We have no idea. We just keep hearing from our friend Joe Mazzulla, who hates talking about injuries. The one thing he probably hates more than talking about 3-point attempts is injuries. And
Gary's always the one to ask him about.
Yeah, we give him update. We have to only go to him for updates on Jrue, and he keeps saying day to day. But then every time Jrue is not even questionable or probable or doubtful, they count him out like new addition. So you got that, Sherrod. I know Kwani probably did. Anyway,
that's always me throwing on the bus.
I saw it coming too.
They count them out like new addition. They count him out a day before. So I'm a little concerned about the health of Jrue Holiday. They really would need him in that Knicks series or even a Pistons series, but we'll see. I mean, he's been on the bench. It's not like he's walking with a considerable limp. But hamstrings are tricky. So how much did he strain it? Is it a light strain? Is it a week that he needs? Because obviously he has not played since game 2, which was now a week ago. So he's had a week off. When will he be back? And what kind of player will he be when he comes back? But like Sherrod said, with Tatum's wrist, Porzingis' forehead, and Jaylen's finger dislocated that and his knee, it's good for them to get a couple of days just to mend, because Orlando took a toll. You did not want a series where a team took a chunk out of you, but Orlando did. And we'll see whether that has long-term implications in terms of how they fare. Didn't seem to have much with Tatum, who played great ball after he came back. Brown had his moments, still turning the ball over a little too much. Porzingis just had a tough series against Orlando. Just his numbers were not good. Missed a lot of shots. Those chip shot 16, 15 footers he usually knocks down. But they were able, like Sherrod said, unfortunately, I'm agreeing with him too much, able to win in 5. So now they move on.
Yeah, but Gary, the one of the things you brought up, Gary, I wanted to talk a little bit more about that is that hamstring, Jrue. The issue or my concern is what happens when he does come back. Because most of the times when guys come back from hamstring injuries, there's a little bit of hesitancy for them to go all out because they don't necessarily know how hard they can go. And that's my concern with Jrue, that when he does come back, that he's not going to be going all out Jrue. That we're going to see maybe 75, 80% of Jrue, which is still pretty good. But your concern is that he might re-aggravate it or do something that could potentially make it worse because he's thinking about the injury. Like I don't know how you can come back from a hamstring injury and just be able to just go out back and do what you did before. And not in a little bit of you in the back of your mind is thinking like, damn, I better make sure I don't do that again. I don't know how as a player you can just completely put that in a box and just leave it there and just not worry about it. And so that's my biggest concern with Jrue is just the mental aspect of his return and whether he's going to be able to compartmentalize the fact that he's coming back from an injury that could potentially linger if he's not careful.
So let's play a little backwards in the rundown that we have set out. So let's talk a little bit more about Jrue Holiday. And also, quick disclaimer, if I disappear, if you're watching, it's because I have to make sure I check on the oven so I don't burn my apartment down.
Wait, you cooking? What you cooking?
Yes, I am. But all that to say, Jrue Holiday, we talked about that coming back from his mental perspective, obviously easing back into the game. But what would you two say that the Celtics miss when he's not playing? And how is this going to impact whoever they end up playing in the second round?
Well, when it comes to Jrue Holiday, he brings like a jambalaya pot of stuff to the table, Kwani.
You know what?
Just so many different things. He can defend. He can score. He can post up. He can defend guys who are trying to post up. He's a facilitator. Just a big jambalaya pot of things that he brings to the table.
I'm not making jambalaya. I love that the oven.
The oven is ready. Oh, yeah. Whatever it is ready. Kwani.
Which is why I had to.
Oh my God,
Gary, that microwave Chef Boyardee is ready.
I know. The hamburger helper is ready.
Oven, don't disrespect me.
Go get that macaroni out the microwave.
The pot is boiling, Kwani.
Gary,
turn off the hot water. Turn off the hot water, or turn off the microwave.
It's not a microwave.
The TV dinner is ready.
What do we miss when
the chicken pot pie is ready? Oh God, what's wrong with our younger generation?
I'm actually cooking real food. It's chicken.
It's chicken.
That's been marinated, and I'm putting it in the oven.
Marinated by KFC. By like you eating it
Y'all
up.
see the viewers and the listeners. Y'all see the disrespect.
Marinated by the Colonel.
The disrespect.
Well, and the Celtics, they get time before they play the next team to marinate over what they need to do to get better. Gary, that was good, Gary.
Well done.
You've done worse, Sherrod. You've done worse.
Yeah, well done. So, right, I'm gonna get up now, but y'all keep talking about
Kwani, go get the macaroni and cheese, Gary.
Turn off the boiling water,
please.
Exactly. So
anyway,
but with Jrue, I mean, how concerned are you about Jrue?
I'm very concerned. You know, obviously he's walking around, he's on the bench, so but we've got no reports, and usually the team has to release something, and they've done nothing. Now that could be a good sign that it is truly a day-to-day injury, but I was a little concerned because obviously before Game 5, a day before he was ruled out, so it was like we're not even gonna now. That could be because, listen, you're up 3-1. Why risk it and put him out there? You've already won 1 game in this series without him. You're at home. You very much can win another one without him, which they did. So why even attempt to put him on the floor for this series? You want to save him. And then also you add up the days and you're able to get this dub. You're likely to get a full, they'll get 6 days off. And then with Jrue not having played since last Wednesday, he'll get almost 2 weeks off before Game 1 of any potential Eastern Conference semifinal series. So I understand the Celtics being cautious with him. He's a 35-year-old man. He's had a history of just little ailments, nothing major, but just little things. And like you said, Sherrod, hamstrings are not to be played with. You do not come back early from a hamstring injury. We saw last year with the New York Knicks, OG Anunoby attempt to come back in the Indiana series. He was cleared to play in Game 7, and he's made and he played about 5 minutes, and he was running on one leg, and they pulled him out. It was like, why do we have him out here? He was hardly ready, and so you don't want to do that with Jrue. So do you bring him back in the middle of a series? You bring him back when he's sound and ready to go, and they're going to have to compensate for that. They need him in a potential Knicks series. They need him against the Pistons. I just think anytime you have a player like Jrue Holiday on your roster, you're trying to win the chip, you need him.
So we mentioned this first round series as being a battlefield essentially for the Celtics, but another player we should talk about, Jayson Tatum. Would you say he's the best player in the postseason this year? And if so, does it even matter?
What you got, Gary?
I think you've got to give it to him. You could say Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, but he didn't have a great series against Memphis, and they still, cleaned Memphis's clock. That was pretty easy. You could say Donovan Mitchell with Cleveland, how they obliterated Miami. I'm sure we'll talk about Heat culture and all that later. Sherrod, one of Sherrod's peoples,
everyone's Sherrod's people.
Is Sherrod people. Sherrod, one of Sherrod's teams. How they just kind of
my guy now. Don't hit us, Spo.
No, we love Spo, but man, they gave it up. They gave up. They just they no mas. No, they was Roberto Duran in New Orleans. Roberto Duran in New Orleans against Sugar Ray, and that's an old reference. I'm sorry, kids, look that up. No mas. If you Google no mas, you will definitely get a reference to Roberto Duran. He said, "No more. I don't want to fight no more."
If you do live mas, you get Taco Bell.
Is that what you're heating up? That's what it is.
Gordado, whatever they call
it. Gordado. Come on, Sherrod.
I don't think Taco Bell would do well.
Your cousin Rodrigo would have a better success pronouncing that than you did.
Damn.
Rodrigo, aka Roderick Blakely. Anyway, to me, they need a guy like him. Anytime you can put him in the lineup, but I'm a little concerned about that. But in terms of Tatum, best player in the playoffs so far, especially coming back from the wrist injury, 37 points, has not missed a free throw. It's just getting to the rack, hitting threes. I was joking with another reporter, maybe the wrist injury was good for his 3-point shot because the three's going down now. I mean, maybe he's just putting more emphasis on snapping the wrist. Who knows? But I do think so far he has been the best player in the postseason. You got to give him his props. And Tatum is doing what we wanted him and we thought he could do. Put the team on my back, boys. I'm gonna carry us home, because we all know Jaylen's not quite 100%. Although Jaylen had a very solid series against Orlando, 23 and 8, 2 assists, and I'm putting this out on Jaylen. 84% from the free throw line, 27 for 32 from the free throw line. We've all lamented Jaylen's free throw shooting over the years. It's been one of his weaknesses. 84% in that series. He got to the line 32 times. He hit 27. You got to love that as a Celtic fan. And 8 for 18 from the three. So, he wasn't killing at the three. I mean, he wasn't taking a lot of threes, but he was hitting them. And I said, and if you look at this series, and we can pivot off Tatum, they won it basically shooting. They shot 37% from three, but they shot 156 threes in 5 games. That is 31.2. I did my Cal math. They averaged 48 a game. So Orlando was like, "You're not beating us with the three." The Celtics really didn't, and they still won a series of 5 games. And I think a lot of that is because of Tatum.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about Tatum right now is he's playing with such an amazing pace. Like, he doesn't seem hurried up at all. He doesn't seem to be, really trying to do too much. He's doing exactly what he needs to do. When the ball's in half-court sets, he's probing that defense, finding guys or finding his own shot. When there's opportunities to get out in transition, he's doing a good job with that. Just the way that he's moving with and without the basketball. This is some of the best Jayson Tatum we have seen over a 4 or 5 game stretch. Really, I think since he's been a Celtic. And this is NBA MVP Tatum. I mean, forget about top 5 Tatum. This is like top of the mountain Tatum that we're seeing now. Just the way, and we're not even talking about his defense, which I think has been pretty solid for the most part. And to me, that's the one part of his game that he's never going to ever get enough credit for, what he does at that end of the floor. But Tatum, he's doing exactly what the best player in the NBA would be doing come playoff time, dominating in all facets of play, leaving no doubt as to who is the best and the baddest MF on the floor. Jayson Tatum.
To that point, you mentioned what he's improved upon, how he's really showing out, but is there a new gear he could shift into, especially as the Celtics head into the second round?
I think there is. I mean, I think for him, probably the thing that he can get a little bit better at is just consistency with that 3-point shot. Because right now, that's the one thing. He's always been a really fluid looking shooter, but really this series was first time in a long time where he was able to string together multiple games in which he shot a fairly high percentage from 3-point range. And I think a big part of that is he's lowering the volume of his 3-point shots. I think he's taking more quality threes and not just those heat check threes that he takes, even though he ain't made any, but he's still shooting like he in a heat check mode. He's not doing that anymore. He forced Orlando, I think, more than they probably expected, to not know exactly what he's doing. Is he dribble driving to get to the paint? Is he looking for the elbow jump shot? That little one-legged step back sort of kind of looked like Dirk back in the day shot. That is deadly. Orlando had no answer for that shot. So he is doing lots of different things that you got to be impressed with what he's done. And as far as like the best player in the playoffs now, I don't really think it's even that close. It has to be Jayson Tatum.
Yeah, I think Tatum is definitely capable of another gear. Like, I don't think he has any limitations. He can definitely put the team on his back and carry him. He can be better. Like Sherrod said, like the 3-point shot, he was 12 for 33, 36%. He was 34% during the regular season. So he was better in this series than he was in the regular season. And that's a good sign that maybe that shot, he's getting a little bit more rhythm in that shot. He led the team in rebounding. He was second in assists. He was second in steals, tied with Jaylen Brown. Porzingis was the leader in steals in the series. So I mean, it was a complete series for Tatum, even though he only played in 4 games. I mean, he led them in scoring, rebounding, and assists, as he does. But I do think there's another gear. I do think there's going to be a game that he can drop a 50 spot, and he could carry the team to victory. I do think that it might require 1, 2, or 3 games in this playoff run where Tatum just goes out of his mind. That might have to happen. That might have to happen against Cleveland if they face them in the Eastern Conference Finals. That might have to happen in the NBA Finals. I think we're going to have to see the best of Jayson Tatum, like his greatest hits. We're going to have to see those if the Celtics are to repeat, because I just think this road, as we've seen, is going to be more difficult. This is not going to be easy. Orlando is a team that's extremely flawed in terms of their lack of scoring, the lack of a true point guard. Our friend Jose Pavone, aka Corey Joseph, running the point. For Orlando, they need a true point guard. They need more shooters. They didn't have a lot of guys who could really knock down threes, but that was an elite defensive team that took a lot out of. That was a better, if you're comparing seeds, like that was one of the better 7 seeds I've seen probably the Celtics play since I've been covering them in the playoffs in terms of like their first round opponent. We've seen a lot of Atlantas, we've seen some Miamis and that type of thing, but I mean, with 2 hosses in Banchero and Franz Wagner, and I was completely impressed with Wagner. Now, that dude can't shoot to save his life in front of the 3-point line. I don't want to look here. He was 7 for 37 from the 3-point line in the series, 18%. But everything else, he punished the Celtics at the rim. He shot. I mean, that dude's so crafty. He can get to any of his spots. He could spin and turn, hit the floaters. I was completely impressed with Franz Wagner in terms of his offensive arsenal inside the paint and at the rim, as opposed, the average 26 in the series. Banchero averaged 29. The next highest scorer was Wendell Carter at 10. So they need shooting, and I think we all could see that. They shot 26% from 3 in the series. You're not going to win any series like that. They shot 42% from the field in the series. So we saw an offensively challenged team that's elite defensively, and that's usually in today's NBA where everybody's putting up 140 points. That's usually rare to see a team like Sherrod's Pistons from the 2000s, or the Magic resemble a 90s team. If y'all want to know, y'all youngsters, y'all young buckaroos want to know what it was like in the 90s, buckaroos, young homies, the little homies want to know.
Please stop. Don't do that again.
The little homies want to know.
I don't know if young homies or buckaroos was worse.
Want to know what
whippersnappers.
Right.
Whippersnappers want to know what the NBA was like in the 90s. I'm not saying Orlando would have been the best team but Orlando, a lot of teams are like Orlando. They relied on defense and putting a hat on you and putting you down on your back when you entered the paint, and that's exactly what the Magic were. So I thought this was a great challenge for the Celtics. I thought it was an educational series. Would you have rather had this or them play a Miami who basically gave up, as we know, and Cleveland just glide through them without much of a challenge? And then we really don't know much about what this team, the Celtics, are still about. We think we know, but they weren't challenged. And now they got to run into a New York or a Detroit. I'd rather, if it was my personal preference, have them challenged and then win in 5. They didn't let this series go longer than it should have. Everybody said Celtics in 5. I think even Sherrod said that. I think we all said, if not sweet, that even Sherrod. We don't trust his picks. He worse than Barkley. But even Sherrod, I mean, believe it or not, he had this right. So if you look at it, it went the distance, and we thought they didn't extend it. They didn't lose last night. Then all of a sudden they got to win a tough road game, because I think everybody was thinking at halftime, like, man, this team came out slow, like the Knicks, right? The Knicks, all your peoples, all the New York peoples in the house, Fat Joe, and all these New York's in the house, and they're at home, and Detroit's not been there, inexperienced team. You would think they folded, and the Pistons was like, "No, we got something for you, bruh. We taking you back to the D. It's gonna be deep. It's gonna be deep. It's gonna be Little Caesar Arena tomorrow night. It's gonna be crazy." And I just think that showed a lot about the Celtics to finish off a team that was desperate and basically put them away. No, we're not gonna win by one. We're not gonna win by 11 or 20. We're gonna win by 31. We're gonna put you all away. We put you out of your misery. But I thought they learned a lot from this series.
So you're gonna do ad read. Let's let him do ad read because that's important. Stick around.
Yes, that is rather important. And as we talk about the postseason in basketball, folks want to get to games and see them. And Gametime has you covered with great ticket prices on all types of sporting events like the postseason and basketball, as well as concerts. And again, the first place I go when it comes to finding tickets to sporting events is Gametime. The Celtics, they're going to be playing for a hot minute or two or three, and certainly they're going to be in Boston and on the road, and you want to be there. Gametime has you covered. One of the really cool things about Gametime is that the last minute deals that you can swing for tickets, that's when Gametime is at its best. Up to 60% off price for tickets if you're waiting to the last minute, which for folks like Gary who can't make up his mind about any damn thing, last minute deals work out well for him. Anyway, Gametime has you covered with great prices on last minute ticket pricing for different events and sporting events as well as concerts. And the other cool thing about Gametime is you also have the benefit of all-in pricing as well as the ability to see your seats before you actually purchase them. Those panoramic views from the seats is a major plus. That's one of the many things that sets Gametime apart from a lot of others. So what do you need to do? It's real simple. Use the code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. You just download the app, create an account, and use the code CLNS for $20 off. Terms apply. What time is it? Gametime.
Okay, back to the regularly scheduled program. Let's talk about Jaylen Brown. We like to do things in threes here. So talk about Jrue. We talked about Jayson Tatum. Jaylen Brown, what have you two made from his performance in the playoffs? But what exactly, that being said, follow-up question, what do you want to see from him that will make you confident that he is back to his old pre-injury self?
I need Jaylen to go back and bring back the body bag. Ooh. And here's because when Jaylen Brown is dunking on kids, putting them in that body bag, just absolutely that's when Jaylen Brown is Jaylen Brown. We're not seeing that now. We saw glimpses of him getting closer to being that guy, but Jaylen Brown, Mr. Body Bag Jaylen Brown, that's the dude that I want to see. Because when he's playing that way, he becomes not just a really good player, he becomes all NBA Jaylen Brown. And that's the part of his game now that's missing. He's not as explosive as we're accustomed to seeing him, and that's such a big part of his game. To me, the fact that he was able to get 23 points, the other night was really impressive because he got the 23 points without being super explosive in the process. He had a couple nice moves here and there, but for the most part, he was on the ground. He was utilizing his footwork, utilizing his ability to get to the rim without dunking, knocking down the mid-range every now and then. But that is just a part of his game. To me, the exciting part, the part that gets people out their seats, is him dunking on people. And he had a couple opportunities, I thought, where he could have done that. Jaylen Brown from maybe a month and a half ago would have boofed it on somebody. I need to see that guy back to feel as though Jaylen is Jaylen.
Yeah, I just want to see him continue to get healthy, continue to treat that knee, and continue to just be himself. Like, don't do too much. I thought there was some times in the series with the ball, as usual, he unfortunately tried to do too much. And I just saw like what was happening was, and I think what we'll need to see and examine whether other teams take the page out of this book was guys like KCP were literally just going for the steal. Like they were running right at Jaylen and trying to go for the rip, right? And he committed 16 turnovers in the series, a team high. So he was committing a little more than 3 turnovers a game. That's a little too much. You don't want 3+ turnovers per game. You want to at least a little bit better than a 1-to-1 assist to turnover. And Jaylen had less than that, 12 assists, 16 turnovers. And I know Jaylen can get a little careless with his handle at times, but I thought the Magic, especially KCP, was literally just going at him for the rip, like literally selling out to knock the ball away. And I think that's what I will be interested to see, whether other teams do that, whether they just go at him for the rip like that and just try to, and I know Orlando's a very aggressive defense, but I just want to see Jaylen take care of the ball a little bit better. Other than that, that's the only detractor I saw from that series. I thought he was, I say, great from the free throw line, very good from the 3-point line. He made nearly 50% of his shots. I mean, that's quality. Pulled down almost 8 rebounds. So I thought it was a good Jaylen. Now, are we going to get vintage, Eastern Conference Finals MVP, NBA Finals MVP Jaylen in this playoffs? I don't know. Can I answer that? All depends, obviously, on his health. But I do think he just needs to play a tad bit more in control at times and not turn the ball over. But I thought he's learning how to play in control and listen to his body and understand that he needs to be more consistent and more sound, make better on-court decisions. And I just and we got to give credit to Orlando's defense. They can cause turnovers, and I just think they knew with the way Jaylen handles the ball that maybe let's just go for the steal. Because you might 3 times out of 10 get that strip. Then suddenly you're off to the races with a transition bucket. So the only thing I want to see out of Jaylen is play a little bit more in control. But other than that, I thought he was very solid.
All right, moving on. We'll see how they do in the second round. All of this TBD. Payton Pritchard, 6th man of the year, struggling so far. Yeah, I know. 9.2 points per game, 1.2 assists per game. So we'll play a game of pick and roll. Good, bad, or meh? How would you characterize Payton's play against Orlando?
I would say meh. Only because he didn't score as much as we're used to him scoring, just over 9 points, but he shot 50% from the field. He shot better than 50% from 3-point range, and he had some moments defensively where you just kind of cringe because you see what's about to happen. But he also had some moments where he did some good things. So, at the end of the day, he was okay, not great, but okay. You knew going into the playoffs that his role would be probably diminished somewhat. And that's exactly what's happening. He's not playing the kind of minutes that he is accustomed to playing, or he was accustomed to playing in a regular season. And his role, frankly, in many ways has been a little bit transformed. He doesn't seem, at least from my perspective, he doesn't seem as locked into having a green light as we've seen him in the past. It's more of a cautionary flag when he's raising up now, more so than just the green light. And that's fine. But at some point, they're going to need Payton Pritchard to be that guy that we saw in the regular season. They can get away with it against a team like Orlando, which doesn't have much offense, but they're going to need guys who can make shots in the next round, no matter whether it's Detroit, or New York. So that's kind of where I'm at on that.
Yeah, I thought Payton had a rough game 3. He had a couple of untimely turnovers that led to Orlando run. They was pressing him in the backcourt. He had a real rough stretch in the first half of that game 3, where it's a game they had a chance to win, but they end up losing, obviously, by 2. I thought that was probably one of the worst I've seen Payton play. But overall, like Sherrod said, his shooting numbers were fine, 51% from the field, 50% for 3, but he didn't get the shots up. He got 31 shots in 5 games, 18 threes in 5 games. And that's unlike him. You wanted him to get 6 or 7 of those things up per game. He got about 3, 3.5. So, but I also think that's the Orlando defense, running these guys off the line, turning Pritchard into more of a penetrator, making him drive to the hoop as opposed to getting relaxing and getting some attempts from the 3-point line. I think in Game 5 you saw a semblance of what he could do. You saw him hit some long range threes, some step backs. He got some space to finally shoot, and I thought he did well. But teams teams fully understand his impact, especially with Jrue out on the bench. They understand that he's going to be the guy that's going to need to produce the points. And sometimes in that second unit when Jaylen or Jayson, if not both, are out of the game. So I thought they focused on Pritchard. They made it hard on him. They pressed him a little bit in the front court. And Orlando has very good defenders, guys like Anthony Black and Gary Harris, and guys who can be physical and get those steals. So I wasn't discouraged by Payton's series, but I think it's a wake-up call that, okay, I'm now on the scouting report. So I'm going to have to really, really respond with some smart play, some intelligent play, because they're focused on me.
So off the top, we talked about the potential next round. We already know at this point it's New York or Detroit, but pros and cons for each team. We can start with New York. What are the pros and cons of the Celtics playing them?
Go ahead, Gary. Talk about your Knicks.
The pros for the Celtics are the Celtics have beat them 4 times in the regular season. The Knicks cannot stop the Celtics 3-point attack. It's kind of the anti Orlando, where the Celtics have their way with them from the 3-point line. And the thing that the New York writers talk about is the difference in the Knicks with their defense with Karl-Anthony Towns on the floor and off the floor. And with Mitchell Robinson, their defense is exponentially better with Mitchell Robinson on the floor and Cat on the bench. And the question is, for the Celtics, how do they exploit that? Because you're gonna think Cat's gonna play 35 to 40 minutes per game if they match up. What to do how to exploit that defense when he's on the floor and make him D, because he's never been a great defender. Does he have the capabilities of being a plus defender? He does. He's just not a plus defender. Some guys just don't ever get it defensively, right? Although he's a plus offensively, he can hit the 3, he can post up. To me, also, Jalen Brunson, you got to prevent sending him to the free throw line 15, 18 times a game. You can't let him foul bait. That he's putting it on a Sar Thompson from Detroit. That dude's having nightmares because he's a second year guy, and he's a plus defender, but he is having trouble keeping up with Brunson and his moves, shakes, stops, goes, all of the things that Brunson does, being a smaller guy and having to create contact and get to the free throw line, because that's definitely in his arsenal. Him and SGA are probably 2 best foul baiters behind, in front of that was the James Harden role. James will get you in the air and get you to the free throw line 20 times a game. Brunson, if he lives on the line, you do not want that. You want guys like Mikal Bridges and even OG Anunoby at times and Josh Hart to try to beat you, not Cat and not Brunson. And I think for the Knicks, they haven't beaten the Celtics at all this year. They haven't come close, really, to be honest with you. I mean, the Canes have been – the last one in New York was very competitive, but the Celtics, sent in overtime and pulled that out. But it's definitely a difference between the two teams. And I'm thinking – and I think that you guys are seeing the Knicks and their struggles with the Pistons. You're looking at their weaknesses. You're saying to yourself, wow, this is not a team on that championship level with Oklahoma City, Cleveland, and Boston. You just don't see it. You see a team that's probably going to max out at the Eastern Conference semifinals. If they're going to have to really play well to pull off an upset over the Celtics.
Yeah, I mean the Knicks, and remember how the summer began, where the Knicks made a couple moves and all of a sudden they appeared to be like the biggest threat, and then you realize when other folks decided, hey, we gonna make some moves too. Then the Knicks just kept going further down the pecking order, to where if for them to get 2 games out of this a series against the Celtics would be, I think, progress. Mm-hmm. The thing about the Knicks that I just can't be down with them is that they don't seem to take care of the little things that show them being a championship quality team, like beating good teams in your building. I mean, Cleveland rolls up in there. What do? Smack, smack, smack. Boston rolls up in that building. What do? Smack, smack, smack. That's what's happening when you are the Knicks and you got big dogs coming to your building. They take your lunch money. They mush you in your ground. They put their dirty feet up on your coffee table and say, "Where my drink? Where my food?"
Specific. Have you dealt with this before?
I'm just saying. What the Knicks have not done anything that gives anyone outside of the most irrationally confident Knicks fan hope that they can win this series, let alone a game. They literally haven't won a game against Boston this year. And so it's really hard for me to imagine a scenario that has them winning 4 times against Boston. So many things have to go wrong for Boston that for that to happen. And I just don't see there being that big a domino effect of problems for Boston against New York.
Well, same thing, Detroit, pros and cons. Let's hear those.
Go ahead, Sherrod. Go ahead, Sherrod. Yep.
Let's hear it.
Sherrod, like.
Listen here. Here's the difference between Detroit. One of the differences, I think. Detroit is a team that is benefiting from not knowing what they don't know. Like, they don't play like a team that knows they're not supposed to win. They're playing like, you know what, we got nothing to lose because no one expects us to compete with them at all. So there's a level of freedom that they're going to play with that New York will not. New York will go into that series very tense, very uptight because they know that so much of their season is only riding on this in terms of getting to the next round, but there's probably going to be some changes, significant changes if they don't play well and at least at a minimum be competitive with the Celtics. Whereas Detroit, they could go out there and get that ass swept by Boston, and nobody would be mad about them for that because they'll be like, you know what? Y'all young. Y'all not supposed to really be. Y'all not supposed to go into the next round anyway. So you went as far as really this roster could theoretically take you. And to be candid, for them to get to the second round will be a major, major mile marker for them. They're not supposed to even do that. Is she going to get the chicken, Gary? Is she going to get the macaroni and cheese?
Yeah.
Yes. Keep talking.
She turned the KFC is warmed up and ready to go.
Oh my goodness.
But Detroit, I think would have a similar end fate as New York. But the difference, I think, is I just think they match up a little bit better with Boston. I think about Tatum specifically. I mean, young fella Thompson, he was pretty damn good on Jayson. And to your point earlier, Gary, I mean, this is a series where I absolutely see how a Jrue Holiday could be the difference maker in getting you 1 or 2 wins. Because to me, he's kind of the cheat code of sorts in this series because there really isn't a player that matches up well with Jrue Holiday. Like, I can absolutely see Jrue Holiday getting you like 15, 16 points a game in this series, with most of those points coming on him just posting cats up. Can absolutely see that. So that's and besides, I love Detroit. If we just gonna be honest and keep it real, they're a good team. And at least now I can actually like Detroit and actually have a legitimate reason for thinking they can do some things. They can actually, compete in this series. I don't think they'll win it, but they absolutely have a chance to compete.
Here's the thing about Kwani. She not only comes back, but she comes back chewing. Oh my goodness. Kwani, you couldn't have swallowed first. You had to come. Boy, this chicken good. Oh my goodness.
It's for the plot.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
what are we doing here? I know. This finger licking. Oh my God. Oh my God, Kwani comes back.
It was a little bite.
Hey, Gary.
Ooh, I need some Kool-Aid now. Push this down. Oh my God, what's wrong with us? What's wrong with our podcast?
I need that red Kool-Aid, Gary. Not sherry, not fruit punch. The red
Kool-Aid with all the sugar.
Okay, this is
the diabetic sugar in it.
We're hitting dinner time hours right now. I need lunch. Like,
come back chewing. Anyway, about Detroit. I think it would be an easier matchup for the Celtics because they're less experienced, although they're more athletic and they got more bodies. The person that is missing most of this series for Detroit is Isaiah B-Stu Stewart, who is one of their, as we all know, is one of their enforcers. That dude like to throw hands. Mm-hmm. And he's missing. I don't know if he'll be available for game 6. I don't know what his condition is in terms of long term, but that hurts them. But I just think Detroit is a good team that, like you said, Sherrod, is overachieving a little bit. They won 14 games last year. No one, not only did anyone expect them to get to the playoffs, people thought, hey, if JB Bickerstaff if they can win 30, that's a good year. They take a step forward, get back to the lottery, get another pick. And remember, they're playing without Jaden Ivey too, a top 5 pick from a couple of years ago who broke his leg earlier in the season. So this is a team that I think could make it, push the Celtics to 6 on a fortunate situation. But I just think we're seeing in this series the fourth quarter issues, right? Not basically being down 3-2, but losing 2 games that they should have won, game 1 and game 4. Like this series should have been 1 and 5. If you really a poised team wins this series in 5, because the Knicks are not playing great basketball right now, and the Pistons are playing solid. And as much as we made fun of him over the years, Tobias Harris has been a great addition to the Pistons. He's playing like he should have in Philadelphia, right? And then maybe for whatever reason, the presence of Embiid and Harden and all that just prevented him from being able to kind of be himself. But I think Detroit would be a challenge athletically because they have more athletes. They have better defenders, like you said, Asar Thompson. They got a three-point shooter like Beasley. They got the great Cade Cunningham, who's going to be all NBA this year. But I just think the inexperience would really cost them having to win in Boston maybe once or even twice. I just tend to think that the Celtics would have an easier time than they would with the Knicks.
Them young boys come and play, Gary. They ain't gonna go out like no punks.
No, sir.
All right. They ain't had. And Gary, you know who's gonna be sitting. You know who's gonna be on the front row watching the game, right? Chauncey, Ben, Rasheed Abdul-Wallace might make us a cameo appearance.
Yeah, you're right.
So
maybe they'll motivate the team. Maybe that's what they need. Sitting courtside. All right. Well, we will find out who exactly they play soon enough. But until then, if you don't want to miss out on whatever this podcast is, because we cook, we talk about the Celtics, we have fun, we make jokes.
Gary didn't get that, Kwani. I got you, Kwani. Gary didn't get that.
We cook. Yeah,
we cook. We make jokes.
Some of us cook.
We provide a jambalaya pot of information and content.
Some of us cook, some of us heat up. Yeah.
Which one are you?
Yeah.
But Gary, we feeding the people, Gary. Yeah. We feeding the people.
Well done. I will encourage that one. Segued me right into, for those listening, we ask that you subscribe to the podcast, leave a review. And for those that are watching the show on CLNS, go ahead, hit that like button, subscribe to the Celtics All Access YouTube channel, where you'll be able to find our show and a lot of other great Celtics content, and it'll be on your feed so you won't miss out on any of it. So also, please make sure to turn on your notifications so you know when the new video drops. So again, you don't miss anything. And while you're at it, support our sponsors like Gametime, which allows us to keep the content coming your way free of charge. Before we get out of there, we just ask that you do all of those things. Share this episode with a friend and keep the lights on here at the Big 3 NBA podcast.
And we'll keep bringing food for thought, because that's what we do.
Something to chew on.
Actual food.
Well done, Gary. Now
what did he say?
Something to chew on.
Now he won't play.
On that
note, Gary was that kid that when everyone is ready to go inside, Gary, y'all ready to play? Y'all ready to play?
Exactly.
Come on, let's go.
I like it. Well, appreciate everyone that does listen, watch, follow, subscribe. Thank you so much. We'll be back next week. By then, hopefully, we know who the Celtics will be playing. Yeah, actually,
I hope we'll know what Kwani was cooking.
I already told y'all it was chicken. There's chicken wings on the counter right now. They're cooling off. Mm-hmm. So, for Sherrod Blakely and Gary Washburn, I'm Kwani Lunis. Thank you for watching and listening to the Big 3 NBA podcast.
Show is good.